Welcome to this round of Industry Leader Live. I'm really pleased to introduce you to Mark Lewis, who is the Chief Executive of Hospitality Action, the UK hospitalities industry's charity, which provides support and assistance to people who work or have worked within hospitality and find themselves in difficult or a crisis. Mark moved to Hospitality Action in December 2017 from the Caterer magazine, the leading title for the hospitality industry, where he worked for 14 years, first as editor and then as publisher. For 12 years prior to joining Hospitality Action, Mark was a trustee for the charity. He has been an Hospitality Action phone friend for the past 9 years. And before embarking upon a career in journalism, Mark spent a decade as a travel writer, writing rough guides to Singapore, Malaysia, and Vietnam, and contributing articles to the Mail on Sunday and Independent on Sunday. Mark, hello to you. It's great to have you with us today. Thank you ever so much for joining us.
James, hello. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Interesting, Malaysia. Mark, I was born in Malaysia a few years ago. It's a place close to my heart. Did you ever travel out there a lot? Was it somewhere you've been?
Years out there actually. Yeah, there in Singapore and Vietnam. Had a wonderful time. Where were you born?
In Kuala Lumpur.
Oh, fantastic. What a great city. I spent most of my time over in Sabah and Sarawak on East Malaysia, but love KL.
So well traveled. There we go. Well done. As you know, ASAP are huge supporters of Hospitality Action and have nominated it as our charity for this year. So tell us a little bit about it. It'd be really interesting to hear it from you directly.
Yeah, I mean, I think your introduction to me was fabulous, and thank you. And that sort of summed up what we do. But really, we are the safety net for the hospitality industry. We've been around since 1837, helping people who find themselves in difficulty or crisis. And as the industry has grown, the hospitality industry, we've grown with it. So, you know, back in the day, we were set up by the coffee shop owners of Covent Garden, but now we cover food service departments, hotels, restaurants, pubs and bars, public and private sector, catering. So yeah, if anybody works or has worked in any of those areas of the sector, then we're the charity, the go-to charity for them. Now, in normal times, what we do is help people who hit bumps in the road. So most typically people would come to us with either physical or mental health issues they need help with, or financial issues, and we can help people. Of course, we have to means test the people we support, as any charity does. But if somebody falls within our remit, then we can help in a number of ways. Sometimes people just need some money to get them through a really difficult period. They're facing homelessness if they can't pay the next bill, so we can help with that, and that enables them to still have an address from which they can go to work. And I think that's a really important point. This is all about keeping people happy, healthy, and work ready. But also we can pay for specific products. So, for example, if somebody needs a wheelchair which is more bespoke than what they might get as standard issue from the NHS, we could pay for that. We could pay for somebody to have a wet room put into their house if they have a life-changing health condition that requires that. So there's a whole wealth of ways that we could help. We help people with dependency issues, and sadly there's a prevalence of those around hospitality for obvious reasons. We help people who are the victims of domestic abuse to start new lives away from a domestic flashpoint. And we help people with bereavement and paying for funeral expenses. So I guess what I'm building is a picture of a very broad church in terms of the way we help people in normal times.
And I think what's really interesting, we hear all the time the impact the current pandemic is having on us, and most specifically the hospitality industry. How have you responded, and what have you seen? What have you seen from your support networks?
We realized pretty quickly, as we all did, that the first lockdown was going to hit hospitality particularly hard, and sadly nothing has changed since. And even yesterday we're hearing about the tier system that's going to be put into place in December, which I think is going to hit the industry really hard. So back in March we put our heads together and said, look, we need to do something to show our support of the industry above and beyond what we normally do. We created an emergency grant. It was a £250 grant that people could apply for from the final week of March onwards. And we put out an emergency cash appeal, which has continued since in various iterations and guises. But really that was the approach, to say, let's make some money from the industry, from its bodies, from its suppliers, from the general public, and then let's just make sure we can help hospitality people who suddenly unexpectedly lost their employment, to keep food on the table and a roof over their heads. It's important to say we can't replace the government support that we're all entitled to in difficult times, but social benefits don't always come as quickly as one might hope, and they're not always as generous as one might hope. So we're really a sort of stopgap measure to keep food on the table for children in hospitality households while they wait for universal credit to kick in. And that's what we've done since, albeit we started to add to the grants. So that £250 has now become more like £750 or £800 for families with kids who really acutely need financial support.
And is there any other support you offer for people in need at the moment within the hospitality industry?
Yeah, so that was one of three things that we've done since late March. The second was we appreciated and recognised very early on that mental health was going to take a proper beating because of all that's going on. It's been such a tough time for people, not knowing what the future looks like, not knowing whether they're going to be able to go back to a job, not knowing whether they can keep their business afloat in difficult times. And that's caused all sorts of anxiety and depression and guilt. And I think also a lot of hospitality people are very much, they're almost defined by their role in the industry. It's not just a job, it's a vocation. So I think, very much part of people's self-actualization is the work that they do in hospitality. And people get up in the morning, they go to work, and they work with their comrades, and they love to see that smile on the face of a delighted guest, or the feedback from front of house, from the dining room, of somebody who's had a wonderful meal. And suddenly that's all been stripped away. So we quickly began to build a set of assets around mental health issues. So some fact sheets and guides that people can read, with some proper, tangible ideas for self-help. We also created some videos around mental health issues. We had one pre-existing with Philip Howard and Tom Kerridge talking about the dangers of drink and drug abuse, and I think that's been very well viewed since lockdown. But we also created a video where we got probably about 10 people from around the industry, some of them quite eminent, talking about their own mental health challenges and giving examples of their coping mechanisms. So that became our wellbeing hub online on our website. And we know that many people have gone there and taken some good ideas as to how to maintain their own mental wellness. And then I guess the third thing we've done was around our Golden Friends scheme, which is it's an industry retiree outreach scheme. We have several thousand industry retirees on the scheme, and we keep in touch with them just to make sure that we keep loneliness and isolation at bay. Now, clearly that's been a huge issue since lockdown. So back in March and early April, we mobilized an army of about 250 volunteers from around the industry, all recruited on social media, who have been calling these Golden Friends, just touching base, making sure they're not too isolated. If there's a problem, we've then been able to activate a local volunteer, or perhaps get in touch with Age UK regionally and say, look, Mrs. Smith on the high street needs somebody to help with a prescription or with some shopping. So we've been able to help tangibly, but also I think just the benefit of having a call from somebody has been really precious to our Golden Friends. So that's been the third way that we've responded to the crisis.
Fantastic. And I think one of the big fundraising initiatives and campaigns that you've run has got some real celebrity support as much as anything, and we've bought into it as far as we can as well for our members. The invisible chips. Tell us a bit about that. That's really fascinating.
We're really excited about invisible chips. We realised early on that we were getting far more support from the general public than we'd normally accept as an industry charity. But I think people around the country, myself included, and I'm sure you, have woken up to the fact that perhaps we've taken hospitality for granted all our lives. You pop for a pint in your local pub on the way home on a Friday night. You grab a coffee in the morning. You go for a swim at the local hotel pool. All these things are always there. You never question their existence. And then suddenly, when they were stripped away from us, I think we all realised how central to our lives hospitality is, and how much we miss it and how much we love it. So we needed to find a way of giving the general public, who are suddenly appreciating the the love they have for the industry a means of paying to us and donating to us so we can help industry people. So Invisible Chips was born of that. It's a silly idea, but hopefully it brings a smile to people's faces. So we're asking operators, participating operators, to effectively stop nothing. So they're putting invisible chips on the menu. So people are buying nothing, but they're changing everything for a hospitality household. Our strapline is they're 0% fat, but 100% charity. And we're really excited because people seem to love the idea. It's got some great traction around the national media. We've got some really good take up, and some of your members have stepped up already, which is fabulous. And we'd welcome any more that want to get involved. It's a very simple thing to roll out, but actually it creates engagement and empathy at the point of contact with a guest or a customer. That we Brewdog were the sort of launch partner when lockdown ended in, I think, July, and they reported back very quickly that their front of house teams love the fact that it just started a conversation with a guest at table, and that allowed them to become friendly and to talk honestly about what life is like for hospitality at the moment. So I think it has a knock-on effect, but for us it's about raising funds so that we can just keep on helping as many hospitality families as possible.
We've introduced a program within our membership, and we've got a number of charity champions all over the country. How else can anyone get involved and support the initiative that you're working towards?
Invisible Chips specifically, or anything we're doing?
Anything.
Yeah, I mean, our website is hospitalityaction.org.uk. We're all over social media, easy to find on Instagram and LinkedIn and Twitter and Facebook. So we would, really ask people to reach out. If they get in touch and they're not sure what they want to do, we've got a million ideas that they might take a fancy to one of. But equally, we're always really glad when people get in touch and say, we're going to do X, Y, Z, and we'd like to do it for you. We've seen some wonderful initiatives going on through the summer. We've had wine tastings, we've had pub quizzes, we've had beers brewed in our honor. We've had a couple of very big auctions, one run by Hawksmoor and another run by William Reed, who published the restaurant magazine, as was. So people are finding their own ways to get involved. But yeah, I think it all begins with just reaching out and saying hello, and then we can work with them. We've got a fabulous fundraising team full of creative ideas, and then we can take it from there. Simply, though, also, or more simply, just promoting us on social media is fabulous. We want to use this crisis as at least an opportunity to shout louder and tell more people than we exist. That's for two reasons. Firstly, of course, we need fundraising and support to make the money we can spend. But secondly, we want people around the industry to know we exist, because guess what? They might need us themselves. Somebody might be sitting at home now while we speak thinking, God, where do I go? I'm running out of money, or my mental health is in a bad place. I'm not quite sure where to go. Well, we are here, but people can only come to us when they know that we exist. So that promotion is also very important around the industry and around specific companies.
Well, that's really interesting, and we applaud your efforts, Mark, and everybody at Hospitality Action. You can count on our support, and we'll promote you wherever we possibly can. And of course, this is recognition to all of our members who've also been supportive in these initiatives. But really appreciate your time today. Great to talk to you, and thank you very much.
Not at all, James. A real pleasure. And yeah, thanks also to all of your members who are helping already. Much appreciated.